We are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Lion's Den. Task, this is your show, so I'm not going to steal it. Do
It's
your thing.
okay to hijack it. Just waiting on the YouTube link to come through so I can edit the threadcast since people seem to like that.
Yeah, let's see here.
All right. And for anybody who's paying attention, this is actually a little test being done by Cal, which he may or may not explain. But all right,
Yeah,
Cal,
I can explain.
threadcast was edited,
All right.
so you can do your test on that. Let's start this with something very simple. It's been my basic tenet. It's not only mine, this is out there. That AI is still data plus algorithms plus compute. And that seems to be the overriding premise, at least by somebody like Elon Musk, who is obviously compiling more and more compute. The merger between SpaceX and XAI this week shows a major boom there, and how he's looking at combining the valuations there to get more financing for more compute. Obviously, algorithms you're aware of, your team works on them, and Elon probably has some pretty good guys over at X working on algorithms. And data, of course, X feeds the data, and Google has YouTube, and Zuckerberg has his applications. So, against that backdrop, why don't you talk about Rafiki 3.0 and how that differs from the earlier versions of Rafiki, or actually more specifically, the gear up for the release of the versions of Rafiki, because things have changed dramatically. But how much different are you operating on that basic AI premise and what's coming out with Rafiki 3.0 now?
Yeah, the AI space is moving so fast. It's crazy because when you go back even a few months ago, things looked a lot different than they do right now. And for example, yesterday you had two kind of major models come out specifically for coding. But you had Opus 4.6 and then GPT 5.3 Codex. And I think it's just like a good example of how fast this space is moving, that in a single day you had, two of the top, AI platforms come out with new models. And obviously those are like, those aren't like brand new flagship models in the sense that it's like not 5.0 for Anthropic and it's not 6.0 for ChatGPT, but these models are getting significant updates and upgrades, and I've been playing around with the Opus 4.6 one, and I've become a pretty heavy user of Anthropic, and it's pretty insane when you've got hands on with it. I think like a lot of people talk about it, and it is definitely amazing, and when you talk about it, you get really excited, and it's like, wow, this is pretty crazy. But I think where it gets really exciting is when you see the change actually happen on things that you are utilizing on a daily basis. So all of this was a point to say that Rafiki, while we were working on 2.0, we hit some speed bumps in terms of how things were going to go, and then it caused me to kind of go back to the drawing board in a way, which is really a theme of Leo in general, but I went back to the drawing board and considered a different way of doing Rafiki. And it had a big part of it was that all these new models have come out, and these models are capable of so many different things. You know what I mean? They're not the same as even, a month ago or 2 months ago or 6 months ago. And if you go back a year ago when I started thinking about a lot of this stuff in terms of how it would like actually be developed, and it is no longer even relevant. The original design, like it's almost like you're so far behind just because you had an idea in mind. So where we're at now is that I decided to just kind of build Rafiki in a completely different way than we originally were going to do it, and that led to kind of this breakthrough in the model where I decided like we don't even need to ship 2.0. We can just go straight to the 3.0 model. So I kind of just scrapped 1.0 and 2.0. I mean, 1.0 is still live and people can use it on INLEO threads, but I kind of scrapped the 2.0 model and just went straight for the 3.0 delivery, which is, you know, I mean, people are going to use it and realize it's like on par with like the current ChatGPT 5.3 or like Opus 4.6. It's on par with those, and it's really hard to like just say that without people actually using it. But when you use it, you'll see what I mean. The knowledge base is so much more vast. Rafiki's obviously trained on all your data, all your Hive data in terms of like all the blog posts you've ever made, all the threads you've ever made, all the upvotes you've ever given out, comments, etc. Rafiki's trained on all of that. So with that, he can do a lot of things. And the 2.0 model was intended to bring you the For You feed, which was kind of like the first like real feature of Rafiki. Like you had the ability to chat with him on threads, but he couldn't really do a whole lot in terms of like actually like an action that he could take, right? He could just like chat back and forth with you. The Rafiki 3.0 model, or sorry, the Rafiki 2.0 model was that the first kind of action he would have is that he would then be in control of your For You feed. So he would be able to read incoming content and then decide what to show you. The breakthrough leapfrogged all of that and said, let's go straight to like the App Store functionality, which is Rafiki can actually, we added Rafiki code. So Rafiki can now code. And that means that people can actually code with Rafiki, but it also means that Rafiki can actually code for himself. So this is where things get kind of crazy because we've started to feed Rafiki different ideas for apps and he'll just make them. And, you know, they need some testing and things like that. But at the end of the day, he's basically one in vibe coder terminology. This is like a commonly used phrase is called one-shotting, which means like you give one prompt to an AI and it's able to one-shot that prompt and deliver the thing you wanted without any more instruction beyond the initial prompt. Rafiki is able to almost one-shot a lot of like complex features. And in terms of simple features, he actually can one-shot them. So like if you were to ask him to build something really simple, there's a very good chance he gets it on the first try with almost no bugs or no bugs. And then if you ask for something complex, it may take a few iterations, but with the first prompt, you're getting like 80% of the workload done. And then the final 20% is refining, bug fixing, etc. So, to kind of answer your question in a really long way, like the whole AI scene has just changed so much. So scrapping everything and just restarting turned out to be a much better idea. And then it really coincided with the mobile app. So that's why I kind of then went all in on saying, let's have Rafiki like code alongside us for the mobile app specifically. So that, not only are we delivering the mobile app, we're delivering Rafiki, and Rafiki's actually helping deliver everything. So Rafiki's already like integrated across the entire mobile app. Whether it's things like bug detection or adding new AI apps, Rafiki's capable of doing all of those. And the 3.0 model is like the kind of flagship of it is the applications that Rafiki has access to. So things like Rafiki Research, where he spawns up to 8 sub-agents and he can research topics for you. Or things like Trend Sniper, which is kind of one of the more recent ideas, where he can like actually proactively find trends for you to post about based on whatever settings you give him. So it's like the big idea, if you take a step back, is rather than Rafiki being just a chatbot that you can chat with, Rafiki is now an action AI where you can actually give him tasks and he can autonomously do them. So like, you could even say, while I'm asleep, research this topic. And then when you wake up, he'll deliver the report to you. So it's like, it's like an autonomous, it's like a truly autonomous agent that is just working for you. And that's what it feels like to use the 3.0 model.
I think this is an important distinction to make. And we've discussed this for a long time. I've taken heat. You've taken heat. Many people have taken heat. But it's funny you say how quickly things changed in the last 2 or 3 months, which is absolutely true, let alone in the last couple years. And we know that, the underlying blockchain, I mean, some of those people are still stuck in 2017. And what you have is a situation where you can't develop in a vacuum, because if you do, things are moving so quickly. There's breakthroughs coming all over the place. Like you said, Opus, I forget what the number is, 4.6 or something. That was highly anticipated, and evidently is delivering. I'm not as optimistic on OpenAI and ChatGPT's expansion, but anyway, that's just a personal thing with me. But you see all these things, and then of course, I think the big news of the week was XAI and SpaceX merging. I mean, this is the largest merger in history by the market cap or the valuations of the entities involved. And that whole thing, the premise is space-based data centers. That's Elon's whole premise right now with this stuff. So when you start to look at it from that perspective, that you're really trying to ride the wave of what's taking place. How does Rafiki keep pace? And you did do a good job of saying that it's up to date and it's on par, in your opinion, with the latest from ChatGPT, with the latest from Anthropic. We'll see where Grok, I think 5 is the next big number. We'll see what Grok 5 looks like. How does Rafiki compare, and where do you see Rafiki growing even above and beyond the 3.0, which obviously isn't released yet, but as par for the course in this industry, you're already outdated by the day you release it. But the day you release a model, you're already outdated, because your next generation model is so much further ahead than what you just released. So what are some of the other things that, let's say Rafiki 3.5 or 4.0, where do you see things moving in that direction, if you could forecast a bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, which is that it's by the time you actually have something production ready, you're probably already working on the next version, which is kind of how these other AI models are doing it. And that's why you see like a new release will come out, and then like a month or two later another release comes out, or maybe even in a shorter time frame, because by the time they refine I'm sure they already have the next model built, but it's just being refined for production. So they probably already have, actually I know for a fact that they already have Sonnet 5.0, which is a different model than Opus, but they already have that like people are speculating is going to be released anytime now. So it's a function of the AI thing is a whole arms race now, which is, how fast can you deliver updated models? The hardware continues to improve, but I think it's becoming less and less about the hardware. It's now kind of moving more toward, the models themselves, which is very natural. I think I talked about that a while ago, that's kind of how everything goes. It starts hardware focused, and then it will switch to being software focused. So I think, we're still in an arms race in terms of the hardware. Like, we're definitely not anywhere close to being done with that. And I actually think it's going to accelerate even more. But I still think the frontier models is where like a lot of the action is happening, especially for like end users like us. So in terms of Rafiki 3.0, we did 1.0, and then the idea was that we would then do 2.0, and then we would then, while people were having fun with 2.0, we would then work on 3.0. Like I said, the sequence of events changed, and then we just went straight for 3.0. Both because of like fortunate and unfortunate events, right? Like, it's a lot of times when something doesn't work, you then try it a different way, and if you're open-minded, which I think our team is pretty good at, we're willing to like just scrap things and just completely change the approach, which then led us to being ready with 3.0. What I think is going to happen now, at least my current plan, is that we're going to go from 3.0, and then we'll have like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and we'll roll out very frequent updates to Rafiki's model along that like point model. So it'll be 3.1, 3.2, et cetera. And then when we have a massive breakthrough, then we'll be going, 4.0, 5.0 models, kind of similar to how these other AI companies have gone down the path. Because once you get to a certain place, you're able to roll out, you have a very stable model. You're able to roll out additions to that stable model while you work on the bigger upgrade, which is like, for example, for us, it'll be we're rolling out 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 as the stable model. And then we make a leap to the 4.0 model and beyond. There's a lot wrapped into 3.0, and it's mainly around applications. So giving you guys access to, like I said, true agentic AI, which I think probably most people still haven't touched yet. But if you've used certain tools that are out there, like ClaudeBot, or OpenClaw is what it's called now. But if you've used those tools, what it's like to use true agentic AI, where that AI actually does stuff for you autonomously, even without your direction. It'll just literally do stuff. And its goal is to just help you. So you give it some base information, you give it some base tasks, it will just perform those tasks as frequently as you ask it to. And then if you allow it the permission, it will just proactively come up with tasks, for itself. Rafiki 3.0 will do the same thing. So the initial stage will be you'll need to physically prompt Rafiki 3.0 to do certain tasks. So you could say, generate me a research report about XYZ. And then it might take 10 or 15 minutes because he spawns multiple subagents. But then he'll, go out, research something and bring you a finalized report that you can look at. And I would say in the very near future, we're getting to the place where you can just have certain settings and Rafiki will just do stuff based on those settings and then alert you when he's done. So things like Trend Sniper, for example, that's something that you just set up once and it just runs 24/7, 365. And it will just Rafiki will alert you through the mobile app's push notifications when there's certain things that happen. So for example, task follows, Tesla, SpaceX, AI. Let's say that this XAI SpaceX merger was announced, yesterday, just for the sake of an example, task would be, or let's just say it was announced right now, right? Suddenly task's phone lights up and he goes, oh, Rafiki alerts XAI and SpaceX merge, and it gives some details about what happened. The reason why Rafiki is able to do that is because Rafiki has a profile on Task, which, knows what Taskmaster likes, knows what Taskmaster talks about. And then Taskmaster set up settings around how frequently he wanted to be notified, what topics he generally wanted to be notified about, et cetera, et cetera. So then Rafiki just knows that and then sees that topic trending and immediately pushes it to Taskmaster. And then you can scale that out, obviously, to any user who has it set up. So that in that scenario, and by the way, I'll actually just showcase it because I've also fixed this Threadcast thing, which I wanted to show off anyways. But the Trend Sniper is the first example of what it looks like to have agentic AI, where it will literally just do stuff in the background. And I think that's where you really feel the magic, because right now, most people, I'd say probably 9 out of 10 people have used AI in a way where it's okay, I open ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you use, I ask a question and I get answers. And that is not agentic AI. That is just like a chatbot. So most people are still at the chatbot stage, but things are quickly progressing toward the agentic stage. And I don't remember the original question at this point, but we are at the agentic stage, and the 3.0 model is all about agent features. So that's really the headline of it. But I'll pull it up, and then I don't know if you have any comments on that. But.
Well, yeah, what you're talking about is actual autonomy, and having a AI do autonomous things for you where they present it to you, as opposed to, like you said, you prompt in a chatbot is people have been doing that for decades. It's called search. Okay, it's expanded. It provides a lot more information, but it still has to be prompted, as opposed to what you're talking about here with these agents that somebody can actually unsolicited get the information based upon the continual monitoring of what's taking place, basically on the internet.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question for you, but explain this first. What you're showing here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this to look nice for the stream, but I think it looks good enough.
Yeah, that's
Um, it's a little cut off, but you get the point of it. I'm also using a simulator, so that's why if you see any errors, it's because I'm on a simulator just to get it on the stream. But this is the INLEO mobile app, so you can see I'm just connected here, and this is what a threadcast looks like. So I'm actually live in this threadcast, and it looks exactly how I wanted. And this is obviously kind of a side note to the Rafiki stuff we're doing, but this is very much like a side note to the Rafiki stuff. But this is what I always wanted in terms of threadcasts, which is I wanted it to be like a Twitch live stream. That was always the vision. But we were limited by the technology we had at the time. Now things are a lot different in terms of what we're capable of adding. And again, a lot of this stuff is Rafiki driven. So when you start using Rafiki, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But like Rafiki coded more than 75% of this, and was literally just told, hey, we want to make threadcasts actually look like Twitch, twitch.tv. That's what we want it to look and feel like. So now you can see that threadcasts actually feel like that. And I still haven't added handling for links yet. So we'll have to figure out how links work. But for example, like you can do GIFs. We'll just we'll throw this in there. But you can do like GIFs, you can do emojis, you can even tip creators. So I can tip you for doing this live stream. And then you can share it. You can reblog it or rethread it, I guess, not reblog. And obviously you can comment. So you can just type messages directly in it. And the chatting actually looks like Twitch. So it doesn't look like a normal thread, even though these are all obviously threads on the blockchain. It looks very much different. And then we also added views, and that's like across the whole UI. There's views that actually work. So that'll become important on some of the Rafiki stuff. But I just wanted to show this off, and we'll probably come back to this screen. But this is what threadcasts look like in the mobile app, and I'm really happy with it because, like I said, for years I've wanted threadcasts to look and feel like Twitch, and now they finally do.
Well, and there's a couple points I want to make with that. It seems that, and I don't follow it close enough because I'm not a gamer, and Twitch was big for gamers, but evidently there's been just in some of the people I watch who watch these different industries like gaming and like entertainment and the media, Twitch has done a lot of stuff to upset their users. And I don't know whether it was in compensation and the payouts and crap like that. So this may be a great time to go after that market and have an application that you can promote as a Twitch alternative. But I couldn't see when you said tip the author. I know Leo has been working through with its many different platforms, Leo Merchants, and then of course Leo Dex, at getting different ways to accept payments and to give payments as opposed to just using HBD, just using Hive, just using Leo. And I couldn't see when you clicked on it. Is there the potential to tip authors or creators with USDC, or will that be integrated, or USDT or Bitcoin or whatever they want to use?
Yeah. So you'll be able to tip creators in other forms of payment. So, things like Leo or HBD or, the ACE token from Leo Strategy is going to be pretty deeply integrated in the app as like the premier stablecoin. So those will be, I think most likely what's going to happen is Leo and ACE will be the default. And then there will be other options if you want. It'll also depend on what wallet you're connected with. So let's see what this, if I can just show, how do I want to do this? I don't know if it's kind of cut off. Let's see, I can make this full screen for a second, I think. Ignore the errors. So you can see here, it says connect key store. So you connect both INLEO accounts, which are obviously Hive blockchain accounts, and you can connect key store wallets into the app, which is really important for like the swapping functionalities and cross chain, and all of that. So long story short, you will be able to tip in other tokens than just Leo. So you'll be able to do Ace. Ace will probably become the default standard as like the premier stable coin of the Leo economy. And then you'll have Leo after that as like an option for payment. And then you'll have a bunch of other options if you want to do those. And as long as the creator has the connected wallet, you'll be able to tip in whatever they want effectively. And I think we'll eventually get to the point where, and this will be like Leo merchants related, you could, like if you wanted to tip in Bitcoin and I wanted to receive my tips only in Leo, you could tip in Bitcoin and then it will automatically swap it to Leo using the Leo Kit integration. So I do think we'll get to that point, but we're not at that point yet. But we are at the point where we can send and accept tips in like kind. So like you can do Ace, you can do Leo, you can do HBD, you can do Bitcoin, you can do Dash, you can do Zcash, and those will all be capable as long as the sender has a key store connected and the receiver has a key store connected. So if both people have that, then you can do it. And connecting a key store is like super easy. So I don't want to walk through it yet just because I don't even know what will be revealed on the screen. But on a recorded video, I'll do that at some point. And then you can see how that works. But yeah, it is pretty fascinating. And this is what all of that looks like when you want to go to a Threadcast. So see Ahmad Manga jumped in here. So yeah.
That's a good deal. Now, one of the drawbacks so far with AI appears to be profitability, revenues, a lot of expenses, a lot of capital raises, a lot of sunk costs, according to many, and you do not see the profitability. Tie Rafiki into the economic model of Leo, and how does Rafiki 3.0, in your opinion, potentially enhance the model? We were talking before we went on air that Leo Dex has had some significant trades. And again, this is, in spite of the crypto market, revenues in crypto market are two different things. I mean, it's if you're building a business and, it's like, Tesla's been out selling their cars. General Motors been out selling their cars. Walmart's been out selling their product, regardless of what the market has done in the last week. Even though it's crashed, Walmart sales year over year for the last week may be up, even though their stock's down X number percent if it followed the market. So obviously one of Leo's focus over the last, let's say, year and a half has been to start building things that can generate revenue streams to bring outside income, to bring revenue sources into the Leo economy. And how do you see Rafiki 3.0 potentially fitting into this, whether it be as a standalone product or as it is, you're starting to configure within the mobile app, maybe as the mobile app as its own applications? What enhancement to the Leo economy do you think Rafiki 3.0 could bring?
Yeah, that's a good point. And you're seeing this with a lot of AI companies where they're like, they're kind of like WeWork, WeWork before they imploded. There's a lot of spend, there's a lot of hype, but where is the profit, right? Like, where is the profitability? Or are you just constantly raising more cash and pretending like you're building this massive business? Which AI companies, I will, grant that it's a lot different, where there is this massive business and massive market potential, and it is an arms race. There is an arms race to get your model to the best place that you can get it. And you can see that happening in real time, like Anthropic's Opus 4.5, which, as of yesterday is now 4.6, managed to really beat out every other model. And now, Anthropic's profits, or at least their revenues, are showing that, like they're skyrocketing, right? I think where Rafiki is a little bit different, and this is where Leo's economy differs in a lot of ways, is because of the size of what we are and the way we're building these models, we are by definition effectively immediately profitable, because we are able to run such a lean ship, especially around these AI models, that we can change directions very quickly, and we also don't have massive data center costs. So our inference costs scale in direct proportion to our users. So if we have 0 users of Rafiki, there's basically 0 run costs, right? Unless the team is running Rafiki, which we are. So there's like the built-in run cost is just how much the team runs it right now. And then, when you guys start using it, when the mobile app is out, then that run cost is going to increase. But the thing is, as that run cost increases, we have INLEO Premium. So anyone who's using Rafiki 3.0 is then contributing revenue into the system. So as the inference costs scale up, the premium revenue scales alongside it. So we're able to have, and then there's also a pay-as-you-go credit system. So we're able to basically like kind of bootstrap the costs of AI build out. Whereas like these bigger companies are just they're in a cash grab arms race, right? Like they are outspending, outcompeting, trying to hire away talent as fast as they can. We don't actually have to do that. And our approach is a lot different, which is we don't need to have the best model. We don't need to have the most, we don't need to, cover all the different benchmarks and have this really generalized, really capable model. If we can deliver features that people actually just utilize, like you guys, like I mentioned, the Trend Sniper feature, and I'll show you guys that. And I mentioned the research feature, just extrapolate that out to like hundreds of features that are like that, where our user base actually has utility for those kind of more specialized use cases. That's where things really start to shape up for us, as opposed to these other AI companies where there's just this like spend competition. Like how much can you spend in order to beat out, in order to beat out the guy next to you. We don't have to do that because we're more focused on the utility of what can be provided to like an end user. And it's a very specific utility because of the way, the Leo ecosystem is. Like you have a very specific type of user. So with that in mind, let me pull up the Rafiki system. So this is how, and I've changed this a few times. I've made a few changes over, while we've been kind of developing it. But we now have a system that actually looks very similar to Anthropic, where you have a weekly limit, and that weekly limit resets every 7 days. So the more you use Rafiki, the more credits you use out of your weekly limit. So you'll basically see, and you could think of this almost like if you're obviously coming from INLEO, as an existing user, you will know like how the voting power bar works. So the more you vote, the lower your voting power gets, right? With Rafiki, it's kind of the opposite. It's like the more you use Rafiki, the higher your bar gets. And once you get to 100%, you no longer can use Rafiki until your day of the week resets your usage, or you can buy credits. So if you're premium, you get a certain amount of usage every week. If you go over that limit, but you still want to use the features, then you can buy credits. And this is how that looks. Again, it's a little bit cut off. Also, this, like right now we've got Leo, HBD, and a credit card option, but you will have like ACE and Bitcoin and other options as well. So these are just kind of like the initial options that we already had baked in. But you can buy credits beyond the standard usage. So this is what like Anthropic and other companies have seen in terms of how people use AI. You have some people that like lightly use it, so then they have their subscription. It covers all their usage. They never have to buy credits. They never have to worry about it, right? But then you have some power users that have a subscription and then also buy credits because they use their usage very quickly. So like I said, I use Claude Code pretty frequently, and I fly through my usage. I mean, I spend thousands in credits every month. So it's, but I would probably be considered more of a power user than the average person. But then there's people out there that I know of who are spending tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in AI credits through Anthropic. So this kind of scales to whatever you want it to be. So you basically have a base subscription that gives you a certain amount of usage every week. And that comes with your, obviously it says premium, like I have INLEO Premium. So I have a certain amount of usage that comes from my premium sub. And then the more I use Rafiki, if I run out of usage, but I still, let's say I run out of usage today and it says it resets in 2 days, and there's still things I want to use Rafiki for, well, then I just buy credits, and I can just buy as many credits as I need for whatever I'm doing. And the credits never disappear. So if you buy 1,000 credits like that, that will sit in your credit balance, like you see here. It'll just sit in your credit balance until you use them all. So it's not like they expire. So that's kind of how the economics of it work. So again, you can buy it in different cryptos, or you can use a credit card. So we've added Stripe payouts or payments for buying credits and also for buying premium in the mobile app. So you can just buy credits using a credit card or HBD or Leo or Ace or Bitcoin, and we'll add those other features as well. But that gives you access to all of the Rafiki features. So all the different apps that we're building for Rafiki, and kind of like the 3 flagship are chat, which is just general chatting. So this is what like the chat interface looks like, and there's some like preset options that you can go through. So Rafiki can give you all sorts of random options. Like this one says roast my last thread. So that's Rafiki chat, which is obviously what, like I said, 9 out of 10 people are familiar with. But then you've also got things like image generator. And as you use different apps, you'll see that they all have different costs. So like chatting is like 1/10 of the cost of generating an image. Generating a video will be significantly more than generating an image. So you just kind of have different amounts. Or like Rafiki research costs, significantly more than chatting and slightly more than generating an image because it's launching sub-agents to help you research something. But this is generally how it works, and you can like use this and you can generate different stuff. And then the research mode, I think I can't access from there. The research mode, in my opinion, has been one of the favorite apps to use so far. It's like it's so well, and you can see we got a placeholder here that says analyze Taskmaster's account. So there's a lot of fun things you can do here, and I think I can. I hate that this screen is cut off because I can't show everything, but let's see here. You can kind of see it now. Like you can see that it selects different agents, so you can actually see some of the previous research I've done. But when you can have it just auto select from the agent pool. So this is the pool of agents that it can pull from. Chain Scout, which means that it's like an agent that's specifically trained on the blockchain, on the Hive blockchain for different data. You got Whale Tracker, which is trained specifically on people's wallets and balances. Token Analyst, trained on different tokens. Governance, obviously, these are kind of self-explanatory, but Web Researcher is just like a generalized web search researcher. And then if you don't want to just use whatever Rafiki recommends, which is auto, you can choose your own agents that you want to deploy. So you can even just deploy all the agents. If you watch closely here, well, maybe I'll just put in just a placeholder. You can see the credit cost is 31 if I do all 8 agents. So if I don't do all 8 agents, let's just say I do 4, it's 19. So you can see it scales based on how many agents you use. So I think research is probably going to be one of the most heavily used ones. At least it is for me. I really enjoy it. It basically just deploys multiple sub agents to research a topic you give it from many different angles, and then it gives you a long form document that you can do whatever you want with once it's done. The research is extremely intelligent. The closest thing that exists to this from like big companies that I've seen is XAI has something called Grok Super Heavy, and basically what it is effectively the same thing. They call it like a study group, I think is what they call it, where it launches a couple different sub agents who all go research the same topic in different ways. Then they all come together as like a study group to then come up with a final report to give to you. And that is literally how Rafiki research works. Through XAI, that costs like $300 a month, just as an example. If you have an INLEO premium subscription, I think you can do a couple of these a week just built into your $10 a month subscription. So from a cost and value standpoint, it's unbeatable. So, and like I said, I've used Super Grok Heavy, and I think Rafiki research is as good as Super Grok Heavy, maybe even better.
Well, what's interesting is typically, and I know things have changed, but there was a point early on where you went to one company for your image generation, you went to another company for your chatbot, then, we won't even get into video, but that's kind of been out there for a little bit, but that's still lagging. And then, like you said, some of the chatbots, they added the reasoning agent. And you could go and use these different, you could use an image generator, get 1 or 2 images a day for free. You could go use a chatbot and you get, I think on Grok, if you're not premium, you get like 8 or 10 prompts a day that, then you're locked out. But with this, it's like you have a baseline of this is how many credits you get. You can use it for whatever you want. And if you want to use it all on image generation, great. If you want to use it just on chatbot, great. If you want to use it on reasoning, great. And when you run out, you just buy more credits, and whatever you want to use, you just buy the credits and use it for it.
Exactly. Yeah. It is whatever you want to make it. That is really the vision of the 3.0 model, is that it's, it all allows you to kind of do, whatever you want. Like you said, it's, if you want to spend it in one place, but not another, that's completely up to you. The tools are all at your disposal to decide, however you want to utilize them. You can choose that. And that's kind of the whole purpose of the 3.0 model, is how do you just deliver many different use cases of AI, which is really what all the big AI companies are doing, is like, now they all have like image gen, video generation, text, and now they're all adding coding. Like OpenAI is starting to go very heavy into GPT Codex is what it's called. Obviously Anthropic is kind of leading the charge with that, but you're starting to see these different companies come out with these different use cases of AI, and they're all just kind of one-upping each other at the end of the day. So, it's going to be interesting to see all the different use cases that we end up rolling out. Like I said, we're at a place now where Rafiki is able to code his own apps. So this is the current app store, and then we're kind of continuously like coming up with ideas. I know I pinged you about some ideas. So we're kind of building a list of ideas where then Rafiki can go out and just start building out ideas. And then obviously it requires that our team do some work on them as well. But like I said, he can like one shot almost the whole idea. Like he'll get it 80% of the way there, and then we have to do the final 20%. But he does like really a lot of the grunt work of getting the app ready. And then we just come in and make sure that it actually works, and we check on the functionality and other things. And I think Trend Sniper is probably going to be one of the most interesting use cases.
Here's an idea, and just give me feedback if I'm on the right thought process for ideas. How about a AI-driven stock app where it's kind of like a Yahoo Finance or a Google Finance, but it's an app within Rafiki, where I can get the app and I can type in TSLA, or I can type in GM or F or whatever I want, put in a stock and get historical information, get charts, get latest headlines, get all that stuff pulled in real time. Give myself, I can find out what the earnings were last quarter, all that stuff. Can you build an app like that where it can just pull all that stuff in real time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. And we actually have a lot of handling for that already. So I got to see if I can find a thread that's got crypto in it. Or I can just go to the wallet. Let's see here. But we already have handling for, charts and things like that. So it's really like, and this was mainly built around that'll take you to Leo Dex. It's mainly built around the, around the cross-chain swapping functionality. But yeah, I mean, like what you're talking about, where it's more like a finance, kind of like almost like finance analyst app. There's no reason why we can't do that. I mean, Rafiki can kind of build whatever it wants,
Well, what I'm thinking, and maybe I'm on the wrong path here, but think of this, think of websites, Yahoo Finance, Google Finance. Then go to sports and different teams' websites, different like Baseball Reference or Football Reference, which are statistic websites, ESPN, which is articles and videos, and of course the sports media. Again, going away from finance or stocks, let's say we go with a sports app, And so you build an app that I can type in Real Madrid and I can get a list of the current roster. I can get all headlines on Real Madrid. I can get the statistic on not only the historical statistics of who scored the most goals in Real Madrid history or the most assists, but also the statistics up to date of the present players, something like that, where all this is just pulling from real-time information because it's out there on the web. So you could go through this and you could do this for like NASCAR. You could do it for football, soccer. You could do it for, all these different types of things, maybe movies. Like I was working on the movie database. I mean, all these type of things could like essentially be their own app and just pull all the real-time data in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about when you get the base model right, which is what I think 3.0 is, it can do anything. I mean, like it has search, it has real-time web search. It has X APIs, so it can access tweets from X. And it has really effectively any API you can imagine we could build in if it's not already in there. So over time, you can just collect all these different APIs for things, and there's no reason why we don't have all the features you're talking about. And actually, one of the next things we add to this App Store page is at the bottom, you'll be able to request an app. And what it will do is, so like, let's say, for example, your app idea, for like a stock tracker, there's a button here. You click that button and it says, type the idea for your app. And you just like type up your idea, put as much information as you want. You could even include screenshots or links to other apps that you think it should look like or feel like or have the functionality of. And then you can submit it. And then what it effectively does is it actually submits it straight to Rafiki, who will then take your idea, expand on it, write a comprehensive plan for that idea. And then it will make an issue on GitHub where then our team can review the idea and then either approve it or deny it or just say like, put it on the roadmap for later. And if we approve it, Rafiki can actually go out and code, like I said, 80% of the app idea. And then our team can just pick up and finish the last 20%. And I think what you're going to have, at least if the INLEO user base gets active with requesting stuff, I mean, by the end of this year, I don't think it's impossible to have between like maybe 100 and 200 plus apps in this app store. And that's kind of my vision for it, is like it's all sorts of different apps for different things. Whether it's image generation or video generation or a stock tracker, or a sports tracker. There is, I mean, really the sky's the limit in terms of what can be built out with this. And then in terms of like, I guess like a logical follow-up would be, well, at what point does it become like bloated in terms of the app itself? Because there's so many different features and functionalities. Well, eventually you just make it so that to have these apps, you have to download them and you can only have so many apps, right? So like if, obviously you're not going to use 100 different apps, but you might use 10 apps and then someone else might use 10 different apps. So then we just make it so that everybody can have up to like maybe 15 or 20 different apps at one time. And then you pick and choose which ones you want. And Rafiki just keeps adding more and more apps. And then in terms of like bugs and like ongoing maintenance and things like that, as users use the apps, Rafiki has automatic error handling. So he actually is watching for errors. If you face any bug or error, he automatically makes a GitHub issue out of it. And then attempts to fix the issue. And then if he can't fix it, he'll let us know. If he can fix it, he just makes a pull request and then the team has to review it. And then you can also have user manual feedback. So like, let's say, task, you're on Trend Sniper and you go to the settings page and I don't know, maybe like one of these buttons is cut off from the screen and it doesn't work right. Or like you click this and it just isn't working, right? There's going to be a manual button up here where you can tell Rafiki, hey, this didn't work. And actually, Leo Strategy already has this, the leostrategy.io website, which is connected to Rafiki 3.0. But if you click that button on Leo Strategy, you can actually give Leo Strategy's team feedback, and Rafiki will do the same thing, takes in the feedback, creates a GitHub issue out of it, and attempts to fix it. If he can fix it, he fixes it and makes a pull request, which then a human just needs to review and pull in. Or if he can't fix it, he just leaves the issue up there for a human to look at. So the mobile app is very much the same. So it's going to be an experience where It's a very seamless, smooth, bug-free experience. If there are any issues, which there inevitably is, then they immediately get fixed, and they're kind of autonomously fixed when you really think about it. So, it's my point here is that it's like you're able to have all these different applications all inside of one app. Which, if you go back a couple of years, that was always the vision. It was like, how do we build the everything app? And I think we're finally there. Like, we've got Leo Kit, which runs the swap page through INLEO. So now we've got cross-chain swaps. Then you've got all the social media features. Now you have all these AI features. And now we're kind of headed down the path where Rafiki, which is our inbuilt AI, can go out and just make as many apps as we want, all inside of one app. And it's pretty incredible. Like, when you see it, I mean, like I said, this Trend Sniper app was built, more than 80% of this was built by Rafiki. And then we just kind of ran it to the finish line. And there's still some things I want to work on here, but like you can see, like center tags and things like that. So there's still some things I want to work on, but like, Rafiki did 80% of this. I mean, this was all him. And these alerts are coming in real time. And they just come in for me. And, if I like them, I can like approve and draft, different ideas, or I can tell Rafiki that I don't like it. And then Rafiki knows from now on, like you can see here, if I do not for me, it basically grays it out. And then it actually, Rafiki understands that I grayed this out, and then keeps the data of what it is and knows that I don't have much interest for whatever he did with this, which then changes his feedback to me later automatically.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, I think that about covers what I had this week. Maybe we can do this again next week or the week after, since there's so much stuff coming at us. But I don't have anything else to add. I don't know if there was any other points that you wanted to cover.
No, I think we covered it. I feel like I keep rambling like I did on the AMA. Like, it's just it's an exciting time to have this tooling available to us. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. I think it's going to be a fascinating time.
No, I don't think you were rambling, because everything you were saying was concise and pertinent. So it wasn't like you were drifting off into netherland and just, adding delusion. I mean, it was all pertinent. So I think it is helpful for anybody who listens to this.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for doing this. I think I'm good to go next Friday.
Yeah, we'll try to get it earlier in the day. We'll schedule it throughout the week. So
yeah, definitely
try to do it earlier in the day. Late in the day isn't great for the INLEO crowd.
Yeah, we've had a mod manga, and I think who was the other one? Makashima.
Well, we got a lot of people overseas, out of the U.S., and it's nighttime there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, all right. Well, with that, we'll shut this one down, and we'll catch you next week. Don't forget about the AMA, as always, on Tuesday. Probably more good stuff coming on the next show in 4 days.
Yeah, maybe I'll do another demo, or Ace will hit 10%, and then we'll launch the mobile app. We'll have to see which comes first.
All right.
Thanks, Sask. Thanks, everybody.